Welcome to London, welcome to King's and to the London Symposium on Information Theory, LSIT. I'm welcoming you on behalf of the two technical co-chairs, Deniz Gunduz, who just sat down from Imperial College, and myself, Osvaldo Simeone from King's College, London. On behalf of the Technical Program Committee, we'll have a list later, and the Steering Committee. Now, as you probably have seen, because we have insisted on it quite a bit, this is not the first, but the fifth London Symposium on Information Theory. And if you're also wondering whether you have missed the first four editions, I think you have, because the last one was held about 60 years ago. And so with Deniz, we thought that it would be a good idea, as in any good continuing story, hopefully, to start with a recap of previous episodes, with the previously on segment. And so here it goes. Let's go back 70 years ago to the first LSIT. This is, in fact, the full program of that event. As you can see, it was a four-day, it's a four-day program. And it's quite interesting to go over it. And one of the first things that strikes you is, of course, that a certain Claude Shannon, 2 years after publishing his seminal paper, presented, in fact, two talks. One, you can see the first one on fundamentals of communication theory, and the second one on coding. Another interesting thing about the program, if you skim through it, is the variety of topics that were discussed. Again, this is just 2 years after Shannon's paper. So you see physics, statistics, radar, linguistics, neuroscience, physiology, neurophysiology, and so on and so forth. Psychology, neurophysiology, and so on and so forth. The third thing that is interesting about this event is that, which is not clear from the program, is that while Alan Turing wasn't able to participate, he did send a couple of written contributions. And here we found an excerpt from one of the written contributions by Alan Turing. And I think it's worth reading it in full, so I'll do that. It says, the highlighted part, if, as is usual with computing machines, the operation of the machine itself could alter its instructions, there is the possibility that the learning process could, by this means, completely alter the program in the machine. So Alan Turing here is describing pretty clear terms, machine learning, and this was, again, 1950. The second LSIT, according to this report on the IRE Transactions on Information Theory, published a few years later, had a perhaps more straightforward program, focusing on transmission and analysis of speech. The third one, instead, according to the same report, was, again, pretty heterogeneous in terms of the topics covered. So you can see here a list, just maybe mention some of them. You see anatomy, animal welfare, not warfare, anthropology, linguistics, phonetics, political theory, and among others. And so maybe, looking at this program, Shannon had the idea that something had to be done. And so he published, again, this is a speculation, but maybe this is one of the reasons why he did it. Next year, he published this famous bandwagon paper in which he warns against the indiscriminate use of information theory to just about any field of knowledge based solely on the fact that the abstract concept of information is relevant to just about anything. So we'll try to stay away from, we said to heed his warning and stay away from this. The fourth LSIT was held in 1960, again, 60 years ago. Again, a pretty interesting program, and you can see, again, large variety of topics. What I'd like to highlight here, due to its relevance today, is the focus on learning and artificial intelligence. You see there are sessions on learning, and in fact, there is even a talk, which I highlighted here, on learning in random nets by Marvin Minsky. Marvin Minsky is, of course, one of the founding fathers of artificial intelligence, as you probably know. And so this leads us to the fifth LSIT, which is the one you're currently attending. And to discuss it, I'd like to leave the stage to Deniz. Yes, the Royal Institution. Deniz will take this one.
Yeah, so actually, the first one, it was in Royal Institution, which a building that still exists. And we actually wanted to go back there for this event, but we couldn't afford to. So it was a little bit, let's say, expensive for our budget. But so one thing that I would like to also mention that about these previous events is that So that was also a joint effort by academics from Imperial College London and King's College London. So if you actually go back to the program, you can see that the first talk by Colin Cherry from Imperial College London, then there was Deniz Gabor, again for Imperial College London, and Donald McKay from King's College. So that's kind of also the spirit that I think we would like to have this event, and hopefully the future editions, to have this kind of joint efforts by universities in London and maybe elsewhere in UK, which is actually the case for this event that I'll mention in a while. So I think there's always the risk of jumping on the bandwagon, but we know by now that there are very well kind of established rigorous connections between information theory and many other areas, from, of course, the foundations connecting to probability theory, statistics, and mathematics in general, and with many applications in computer science, economics, and physics, etc. So with this kind of with connections in mind, so we wanted to have this event, to have this kind of interdisciplinary aspect, and organize the two days accordingly. So the first day is mostly connecting information theory to learning, and kind of this data-driven sciences that are very popular these days. So we have 2 keynote talks and 2 invited sessions, followed by, in the evening, poster sessions, which the abstracts of all these talks are, the titles are in the program that you have, and the abstracts you can also access online. And one thing to mention for logistics, that the poster session is going to be held on the 8th floor of this building, so we'll of course help you, the student volunteers will direct you there. And I would like to ask the poster presenters to be there half an hour before the start of the session and to make sure their posters are installed. And tomorrow's sessions will be dedicated to applications of information theory, more kind of emerging applications of communications and quantum, post-quantum cryptography. So we have, again, 2 keynote talks and 2 invited sessions, and as well as poster sessions in the evening. So thank you very much for all the speakers who, of course, make this event, for accepting our invitation for, although it's the 5th, but really the kind of the first of this kind of regeneration of this event. So I think we are very lucky to have this kind of, such a distinguished list of speakers. And also I would like to thank, of course, the organizers, the technical program chairs who have organized the sessions, invited sessions, and the poster sessions. And of course, the bulk of the work, as you can imagine, as the local organizer, was by Osvaldo, and who was kind enough to even put my name on the top, but of course he has done most of the work. And we also have the steering committee members who have helped us kind of to decide on the general kind of the program of the event, and hopefully to take this event further to next year's. So some kind of logistics that, so you all should have access to the guest Wi-Fi, so it's free Wi-Fi, the cloud. And I think most of you must have also eduroam, so which it should be automatically connected. And you have some instructions you can access on that link as well. And so apologies in advance, as I said, so we have a very limited budget to run this event, and we actually would like to acknowledge European Research Council, because any expenses, limited expenses, are actually funded through our ERC projects of myself and Osvaldo. And of course, you know, there's no registration cost, but so that's one of the reasons that we are not able to offer any coffee breaks or lunch or dinners, unfortunately. But there are many options. Of course, we are in central London, so some of the recommendations are listed here. There is a cafe on this floor, just across the corridor, and also on the 8th floor, where we will have the poster session, is a cafe that you can access. And I would like to, of course, give special thanks to the local organizers of the King's College organization, the events team, which helped a lot for the organizational aspects of this event.